You know that feeling, right? You get a test score back, you look at this single number, and you just have no idea what to make of it. A 78, a 150, what are these numbers actually telling us? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain and find out what's really going on behind your test scores. Okay, let's just dive right in with a super simple scenario. Imagine you just finished a test and you get your result. It's 24. That's it, just the number. So the big question is that good? Is it bad? Kind of average? Honestly, without more information, you just can't know. That number is just floating in space. And look, this isn't just a feeling, it's actually a fundamental rule in the world of testing. A raw score, all by itself, is basically meaningless. To make it mean something, we need context. We need some kind of ruler to measure it against. So where does that context come from? Well, it comes from this really powerful idea called norms. And trust me, this is the secret ingredient that turns a random, useless number into a genuinely useful piece of information. To put it simply, norms are really just the test results from a huge, well-defined group of people who've already taken the exact same test. This group, sometimes it's called a norm group, gives us the data we need to figure out where your individual score fits into the bigger picture. It's all about your relative standing. Okay, let's go back to our score of 24. To make this real, let's pretend it came from a test that measures anxiety levels in college students. Right now, you've got your score, but you still have no clue what to do with it. So here you are, just looking at this number, 24. It's just sitting there, waiting for some context. But what's the one piece of information that could change everything? This is the average score from all the other college students who took the very same test. The norm was 19. And boom, just like that, everything clicks into place. Your score of 24 is higher than the group average of 19. So now you know that, compared to other students, your anxiety level, at least on this test, is above average. The number itself didn't change, but by comparing it to the norms, it suddenly has real meaning. This whole process, this idea of comparing your score to a group, is the entire foundation of what's called a norm-referenced test. Its whole purpose is to see how you stack up against everybody else. Now, the key thing to get here is that a norm-referenced test is not designed to see if you know a specific thing. Nope. It's designed to take your performance and basically put you in a lineup with everyone else. It's all about answering one simple question. Did you do better or worse than the average person in that group? And you've definitely taken tests like these before. I mean, think about college entrance exams like the SAT, or grad school exams like the GRE, or even classic IQ tests. Their main job is to rank people, to see who's in the 90th percentile versus the 50th. You can't really fail these tests. You just get a score that tells you where you stand in the crowd. You've probably seen this before, right? The classic bell curve. It's the perfect picture of how this works. For most things, these tests measure the vast majority of people, about 68%, are going to land right around the average, in the middle. Very few people score at the super high or super low ends. And knowing where you fall on this curve can be a big deal. It can decide things like getting into a special program. These tests are built from the ground up to sort people out along this very curve. Now, this idea of comparing people to each other is not new at all. One of the earliest versions came from a guy named Alfred Binet way back in 1905 with his idea of mental age. The whole point was to see if a kid was performing at the same level as the average kid their age. So if an 8-year-old was doing as well as an average 10-year-old, they were said to have a mental age of 10. And get this, some of the actual items on Binet's original test were wild. They ranged from something incredibly simple, like telling the difference between a piece of chocolate and a piece of wood, to something much more complex, like repeating a 15-word sentence from memory. Each one was a benchmark for what an average kid could do at a certain age. But what if ranking people isn't the goal at all? What if the only thing that actually matters is whether you know the material, period? Well, that brings us to a completely different way of thinking about tests, the criterion reference test. With these kinds of tests, you are not being compared to anyone else, not at all. You're being measured against a fixed standard, a criterion. The only question that matters is, have you mastered this skill or this chunk of knowledge? It doesn't matter if everyone else aced it or if everyone else bombed it. All that matters is how you did against the standard. The perfect example of this is a driver's license exam, right? The goal isn't to find the single best driver in the entire state.
The goal is just to make sure every single person on the road has met a minimum standard for being safe and knowing the rules. Same thing for a final exam in algebra or a test to get a professional license. It's totally possible for everyone to pass or for everyone to fail.
Oh, okay. This example really nails the difference. So let's look at this history question about World War II. In a criterion reference test, both student 1 and student 2 are correct. They met the standard. Student 3, sorry, that's wrong. It's that simple. But now look at the norm referenced assessment. Here, we have to rank them. Student 2's more detailed answer is seen as better than student 1's, even though both were technically right. The exact same answers get judged in two completely different ways. So we have these two completely different approaches. One compares you to the group, the other measures you against a standard. So which one is better? Well, the truth is, it completely depends on what you're trying to figure out. So let's break it down one last time. A norm reference test asks, how do you compare to others? Its whole goal is to rank people, and you get a percentile back. A criterion reference test asks, do you know the material? Its goal is to measure mastery, and you get a pass or a fail. So you see, neither one is better, they just have totally different jobs. Okay, so we've got comparing to the group and comparing to a standard. But there's actually a third way to look at this, and that's comparing you to yourself. This is called an Ipsative Assessment. Just think about tracking your personal best when you're running, or watching your grades get better over a semester. The only thing you're being measured against is your own past performance, which, can be a really amazing motivator. So now that you know the secret, the next time you get a test score, that single number staring back at you, you'll know what to do. You won't just ask, is this good? Instead, you'll know to ask the first and most important question to figure out what that number really, truly means.